Welcome back to Loan Officer Success Live, and this is the Coach's Corner powered by Premier Lending. Your host, mortgage leader and business builder, Devin Dubuque, and the coach with the winning playbook, Rick Koenig. Together, they're bringing you real strategies, no fluff insights, and the exact steps to grow your mortgage business. Buckle up because this is Loan Officer Success Live. Woo! We're back, baby.
No music? Where's our little intro? You know, your
Oh, we've got something for you, Coach.
There we go.
Let's get excited. You know what? We can even.
I think it's safe to say that our luck is officially turned around, guys. We are back, baby.
All right, I got to cut it before it gets to the second part.
Yeah, then you can't do that and hit the beeper at the same time.
I can't. We're on, LinkedIn, so we got to keep it classy today.
Well, good.
Man, so Coach, you were out last week, so we had Rafael Amaro fill in for you. I think he did you justice. He was talking about the auction strategy, and I thought that was a really good one, right?
Yeah, it was good. I listened to it, and of course, nothing like having a nice, handsome guy that speaks with an accent on.
The most interesting man alive.
Guys. They sound smart whether they're not, and he is.
Yeah, he's the most interesting man alive, It's just
oh, he is definitely,
His stories are amazing, man. Just to hear everything that he's been through and his just life journey has been unbelievable. So,
well, I think anybody in the mortgage industry over the last 10, 20, even 30 years has some very interesting stories. We've seen ups, we've seen downs, I sound like the old guy when I said back when I had a 13% interest rate, with good credit.
Yeah. Talk about life journeys, man. Just these last 3 years and not just in the industry, I think just in our economy, right. Globally, and just all the nutso stuff that's happening out there too, man. There's a lot of violence going on out there in the world. It's been one hell of a ride, Coach.
Being a grandfather and you being a father with young kids, man, I think if I could change one thing in the world, business-wise and personally, it would be to eliminate the iPads and the cell phones for kids and just turn this crap off. Now people would be turning us off possibly.
That's what I was saying. Here we are live on social saying, don't watch it.
Don't watch social media, but watch us.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's crazy out there. And sometimes you have to just stop listening. Like yesterday, who in the right mind didn't know that the Federal Reserve was going to lower rates yesterday? Everybody in the world, at least in the market side, knew it. And the market had adjusted. We saw rates come down for last 2 weeks?
We did.
Rates trickled down.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the Federal Reserve,
That's it.
And so what happens this morning? Rates popped up a little bit. You remember what happened a year ago in October?
Same thing.
Same thing. And everybody's like, how did the rates go up? Well, the market doesn't wait for the Federal Reserve to do their thing. They're going to adjust based on, looking at numbers. We were talking about Logan Monoshita from Housing Wire, and he is one of the best people out there with his charts and his graphs, and he talks about everything from housing inventory to jobs to you name it. And he is so on top of this stuff. It's like, don't any of these Federal Reserve guys look at some of this additional information? It's almost like a lot of them are looking at, oh man, this happened in 2008. We better watch. There was weird stuff going on back in 2008. So yeah. I know loan officers' phones started ringing off the hook yesterday and today. And they're trying to explain to people that, well, actually rates were lower last week when I told you to lock, because, hey, we had that strike rate.
Yeah, I think the elephant in the room is, what about the ones that weren't reaching out to their clients and their phones weren't ringing because they haven't been doing the outreach, right? Because there's a big thing going on. And if you're in our industry, you know it. And if you're a homeowner, you probably know it too. The servicers, they've known what's going on with the market. They've been prepping for this. They've been planning for this. And now they're striking hard, right? Like they are outreaching on a massive level. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, a lot of what you're getting, if you are getting a lot of outreach from your servicer right now, is AI. It's not even a real person. It feels like a real person. It talks to you like a real person. It's not a real person. It's actually AI that's in the background that's communicating with you and giving you insight and then having conversations with you. It's literally talking with you back and forth. And if you don't know that, you need to know that and make sure that you're really talking to a real person about your finances. And our suggestion is go back to the person that you trusted in the first place. That's probably a great resource to help you make the right decision, not the decision for the servicer, but the right decision for yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because, the person that knows you the best helped you the last time. Now, if that person hasn't stayed in contact and you don't even remember who they were because they
not a good sign.
did their job, then still look for a local lender, And when I say local, I don't mean, just somebody that's in your marketplace or services your marketplace or that the realtors recommend, because that person's going to really sit down. And it's not going to be, hey, we can save you $250 if you do this today. And what you don't realize is you've got great equity in your house and there's no cash out of pocket. And the next thing you know, your mortgage is $11,000 higher because there was 2 points involved plus all the closing costs, and they rolled all your taxes back in. And oh man, you're going to get a nice little check back from your escrow account after we close, from the old company. And you just went back up 11,000, even though you saved 250. Talk to your local person. See what you need to do. Maybe that's exactly what you need to do. And it's the best thing because you don't want any cash coming out of pocket. But that computer doesn't know whether, hey, I got 27 years left. Why do I want to go back to a 30? Why don't we do a 27 year and
the
save
cheat code
$200,
Yeah, the cheat code.
Yeah, why don't we do like our guys do, utilize Mortgage Coach and print out 3 different opportunities. Here's what it is if we go back to a 30, here's a 27, which is what you got left, but here's a 25 and a 20. Look at this. You can cut 7 years off and have the same monthly payment. Which would you rather do?
Yeah. Well, and then there's a whole nother side of things, and that's the people that need money, right? Because there's a lot of folks out there that have a lot of debt. In fact, the average, we just talked about this morning on the morning show. Average consumer debt right now is up to 106, 105, 106, somewhere in there, right? Across the United States, that is the average is $106,000 in consumer debt. That's a big number, right?
Yeah.
But the average equity position, actually, I think today it was up to 152 now that I think about that. But the average equity position is over $300,000. And a lot of people aren't looking at the mortgage as a vessel to help with that, or they weren't. They are now, right? Because the rates are starting to come down. But at the same time, their credit card rates are 25, 26, 27, 28%. And at the end of the day, isn't that a great time to say, maybe what I'm doing isn't working? If I've got $100,000 in consumer debt and a big chunk of that is credit cards at a 25, 28% rate that's compounding daily, right? Yeah. Like maybe the mortgage is a great vessel to do that. So folks, make sure that you're talking to a real human being and having that conversation. And let me tell you something, if you don't hear this, hey, let's take a look at what your situation is and see how we can put you in a better financial position. If it doesn't make sense, I won't do it, right? If they're not telling you that, you're probably talking to the wrong person, because the folks in this industry that really care, they care about their customers and they care about making sure that we're providing great value for our people. And it's not just about the quick buck. It's about the long-term commitment to that relationship. And that's how this thing works, right? Is work with somebody that's truly going to work for you, and great things are going to happen.
I used to tell everybody, work in your backyard. But the one thing about working in your backyard is you run into your clients, and my joke always was, I'm going to do the best job I can and give them the best advice possible, because I don't want to get punched in the nose at the grocery store, and so
that Rick Koenig, that Rick Koenig.
Yeah. And what's really crazy is I'll run into people now that over the past 30 years, I might have refinanced them 5 or 6 times. And we did the old no closing cost deal, where you went a little bit higher than the interest rate, but we utilized that extra money that we made as a company to pay all their closing costs. So each time we did it, they actually didn't take anything out of pocket, versus some of these guys that are rolling 15 grand into their mortgage and not really talking about it. And, I think when we used to do the old GFE, that the good faith estimate, that you could actually show
Old
them,
Faithful.
Yeah, you could actually show them a lot better. Here's your payoff. Here's your new loan amount. Wait a minute, how come my payoff's 157 and my new loan amount's 169? You just have to show.
But there's ways to look at that too, Coach. At the end of the day, like, how much money do you have in your escrow account right now? How many mortgage payments are you going to skip before you move on to the next one? And then what are you going to do with that money? Because a lot of the times you can just take that money, reinvest it right back towards the principal balance and bring your balance back down. And if you use the cheat code like Coach just talked about and say, hey, I don't want to go back up to a 30. I've got 27 and a half years left. Let's look at a 27 because I do want to save money, but at the same time, I don't want to reset. You could actually do a refinance where you're and by the way, I love talking about this because I keep hearing this guy, and there's millions of views on this post where he's effectively saying that lenders are trying to talk you into refinancing and it's not good for you. It's only good for them. I think that's right, unless you're talking about what I'm mentioning here, which is using the cheat code. And that's, let's shorten the term up. Let's reinvest the money that we're going to get back in that escrow account and the skip mortgage payment back to the principal balance. And now all of a sudden you're actually keeping yourself in the same equity position, improving your payment situation, and quite frankly, saving money that you could reinvest back into the mortgage and pay off even faster. Another way to look at that is, do I take that escrow money and that skip payment, which could be astronomical depending on the size of your mortgage, and pay off a credit card with the 25% rate, right? And now I've eliminated debt, saved money, put myself in a better financial position, put myself in a faster payoff trajectory. And this is the right time to start talking about those kind of moves because we can do it right now.
My personal experience was, this is our 5th or 6th house, but we've been here 26 years this year. And, at my age, I hope that most people that are 65 are close to paying off their homes. But, you think, okay, I've been here 26 years, but it's been paid off for 6 years. How did I do that? Well, 2 homes ago, we actually paid off 2 cars, a student loan, the student loan was in this house, and we went to a 15-year fixed because interest rates went from 10 down to like 6.875, and so we were able to cut term, build equity. When we built this home, we used only 15% down. We paid off some other school debts and stuff. We never had credit card debt, but again, we made sure our cars were all paid off, and we were able to do basically like a 20 or 30 year. We refinanced it to a 20-year when rates went down. And when rates went down again, like in 2012 or whatever, I think we refinanced it one more time to like a 10-year and still were able to pay it off in like 8 years. And so you can do that kind of stuff. You just have to be very proactive and manage it just like all the rest of your assets. And for us, it was more important, even though I'm in the industry, to have the house paid off than it was to put more into, retirement and stuff like that. And then, once you pay the house off, then you pay yourself, so, that was our goal. So even though we've had 5-6 houses, we bought our first one at 23, maybe. And so, and you paid it off when you're 60. So you think about that, that was 37 years of mortgage payments that we made. And yet we still paid it off in less than, the 43 years we've been, married and living in homes. So you can do it if you really have a plan in mind. No question. And
I want to talk about another plan, right? Neil Dingra ran a post the other day, and I think it was Imagination is the name of the group that's basically just buying up investment properties right now. And he challenged to say, hey, are we heading in a trajectory to where the middle class will never own a home? They're all going to be renters for life. And that is how it is in other countries, right? The hierarchy is, unless you're upper class, you don't own a home. Well, these investors are scooping up massive amounts of properties. I think it said like 20 or 30% of homes that were purchased in 2024 or 2025 were purchased by investors, right? So think about it like this. If The average consumer has $300,000 in equity in their home, and investors are scooping up properties right now. Maybe it'd be smart to take some of the equity out of that house and use it to invest into investment properties. And I know what a lot of people are thinking, oh, not me. I can't do that, right? I don't show enough income to be able to support it. And you don't have to. You don't have to show the income to support it, because guess what? There's programs out right now that are designed specifically for that. You need a little bit of cash down, and that's what you can pull from the equity of your existing home. But once you do that, you basically qualify off of the flow, meaning if the payment of the mortgage that you're taking out on that investment property is less than or equal to, and it can actually be way less than, they have what's even called a no ratio, the loan qualifies. You just have to have decent credit scores. They don't look at income. They don't look at the tax returns and W-2s and pay stubs. They look at the flow. Does the income flow on what the potential rental income would be on that property? And I want you to think about that, because this is how people get big investment money long term, right? I always like to look at people like Grant Cardone, right? Like, I've been following Grant for years, and I remember when he first started doing his sales series, it was on car sales. He was even in the real estate market, right? He was doing car sales this is back in 2003, by the way, when I'm first getting into mortgage, and I started listening to him in 2001. And he was just transitioning over to investments. And, what he's done is he's built, I don't know, close to $1 billion net worth, if it's not more, off of investment properties, right? And purchasing. And he even says, he did a post recently where he said, I think it was 20 years ago, he was struggling to pay a $750 rent for himself. And now the guy's worth at least, I don't know, several hundred million, close to $1 billion, right? So how do you do that? Well, you think like an investor, right? You borrow money so that you can grow your own net worth. And right now is a great time to talk about that. You got $300,000 equity in your house. Put that money to work for you. Let the renter pay the mortgage payment, and they're building equity for you. And now you start setting up this really comfortable nest egg. It's not just about paying off your own mortgage, but how many properties can you collect and own? Because last time I looked, Coach, property's going up in value. What's your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. It depends on what part of the country you're in, what area you want to be in, how much you want to spend, and how much the rents are. With me living in the Midwest in Cincinnati, Ohio, you get outside of the city limits and outside of the Belt Loop, you can still pick up homes for literally $125,000 to $250,000, and I mean nice, ranches, 2 stories, your typical, Cincinnati home, and it's in a nice school district, and it's out in the county, and you can get $2,500, $3,000 a month rent for some of these houses, easy. And if you put 20% down on one of those, with where interest rates are right now, you can get a nice house, insurance and everything, and just do it as a rental property. It's close by. You don't actually have to do a whole lot. You can hire a management company to do stuff for you if you're not real handy yourself, or you can show up once a week and cut the grass yourself if you just want to, keep a firm look at, how things are going and checking on your property. And by driving through neighborhoods like that, you might find the next house, or the neighbor might find out that, you're renting this. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I met Rick. Boy, if he's looking for more houses, we're thinking about selling ours. And the next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 homes on the same street. And, depending on where it's at, you can typically find pretty good renters.
Yeah. Well, I think another one is you kind of nailed it. Like, you don't want to manage it yourself. You don't know how. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Well, guess what? I have another podcast where I bring on top tier agents from East Coast to West Coast. And I can tell you right now, I got a Rolodex full of agents that'll teach you how to go out there and invest. They'll help you find the property. They'll help you make sure that it's one that's going to actually perform well for you. And there's a few different avenues for this, right? Is it long-term rental, short-term rental, right? Airbnb, these things. But these are all over the country. And remember, you don't have to buy in your backyard, right? You can buy a home anywhere as an investment. And if you do it as a short-term rental, it also becomes a vacation hub for you, because when it's not rented, you could hightail your family over to wherever that thing is and spend a little bit of time there. And imagine being an investor where you've got properties all over the world, and eventually your side gig becomes your full-time job, because these properties eventually start to flow in a position where you're just bringing in equity every month. I know we went a little different direction than what we were starting with, but I do want to talk about that because we have a unique situation right now. There's money out there that you could utilize to invest in yourself and invest in your future. And if you're finding yourself in a dead-end job, not making enough money to really save or grow your wealth, man, look at your home as an opportunity to do that, and maybe follow some of these techniques and strategies to take yourself. And if you go, man, I really don't know how, man, there's so much opportunity out there to learn. Like literally all you got to do, if you're on here, you're learning, right? If you're on any podcast, you're learning. If there's something you want to know, just go find it, man. Read a book, grab a podcast, contact us. We'll put you in touch with a great agent, and help you learn how that strategy can work for you, and you can start building, turn that $300,000 into $3 million, right?
One of the things I like is I like looking for rental properties where there's more rural colleges. So like where we live here in Cincinnati, you can go to the west side of Cincinnati and there's a small Division III private college. There's Xavier University, there's University of Cincinnati, you got Northern Kentucky University, St. Thomas More College, Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Between my house and Oxford, you get within about 3 to 5 miles of Oxford, you can still buy $100,000 to $150,000 homes, and you can turn these into college rentals. Now sometimes that can be a little dangerous, but again, if you got the right lease and the right down payment, and you're meeting with parents and stuff like that, you can usually get some pretty good rentals, and you can get, a lot of times in the university type ones, you can get a year's rent up front in some of these situations. And and they're typically only there for 9 of the months. Half of them move out for the 3 months during the summer if they go home and get jobs. But it's never a problem near a university. That was always my big thing is, buy homes in a university area. Of course, we have a lot of universities in greater Cincinnati.
Well, that's another that's a house hack right there. So not only do you buy the home, if you're in an area, or if you find an area where you can buy multiplexes, the popular one, and I love this strategy, is the fourplex, right? And why the fourplex? Because first off, you've got 4 different rental opportunities. And again, if you go back to what I was talking before, Grant Cardone, he says, don't buy anything less than 2 doors, really 4 doors, and really 8 doors. But 4 doors is probably where you want to get your start. So imagine this. Imagine you got a fourplex, and imagine you got a son or student that's actually going to college. You don't have to have this, but let's say that you do, and they're going to have to rent. They've got to have a dorm, or they've got to go live somewhere off campus. You're paying that regardless, right? So now you use the loopholes in financing that say, hey, if you're going to purchase a home for a student, you can have more than one transaction type under conventional and FHA that will allow for you. I think it's conventional that'll allow for you to do that. Maybe FHA too. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, we used to call those kiddie condos, even if they weren't a condo.
That's it, 100%. And so now effectively what happens is you put a smaller amount of money down, you buy that property, you were going to pay the rent on that anyways, but you got 3 other units that you can lease out, and you're starting to build equity in a property while your student's going to school. And it actually helps pay for some of the tuition in the long run. And then when their child is done, you can gift them the house if you want to, or you can keep it and put new renters in there. But these are great strategies to get that portfolio started. And that loophole, if you do have a kid in college, really makes it a easier process, because you don't have to have the 20% down. But again, if we go back to what we were saying before, if you're the average homeowner in America with $300,000 of equity in the home, go out and look for a fourplex. And just buy it and put renters in there.
Going all the way back to the start, be careful who you're talking to. I mean, a lot of these servicing companies, they have laws and all kinds of stuff they have to stay within. But you know what? They bought that loan from somebody, and that person calling you doesn't know you personally like your original loan officer did, or like one of the local lenders, that your real estate agents refer. And, to go to that person and just delve up, here's here's my goal. Here's what I want to do. And I do have this equity. I want to pay my house off. I need to pay these debts off. Go to somebody that's going to really take the time to go deep with you. Take the time. You're just not another transaction. Hey, let's flip these. Let's flip these. We're servicing these loans. So if your lender's not calling you, you can give us a call. We'll hook you up with one of our LOs. But be careful who you're talking to, because it might not be a real person.
No, that's 100% true. With AI out there, a lot of the conversations that are being held in the back end are 100% AI bots, and it doesn't feel like a bot. These guys that are at these big box lenders, and even the smaller ones, right? We're catching up too. They have trained these bots to speak like a real human being. In fact, this is where it gets really scary. They can actually go in and scrub your profile on social and all the different information that they have for you. They can scrape all that data, get to know who you are as a person and what your hot points are and the things that get you excited. And then the bot, literally real time, is scraping that data and then communicating with you the way that you want to be communicated with. And it feels like a real person, and it's not. So you've got to be really careful when you get these outreaches that feel like, hey, this is my lender contacting me. Yeah, maybe they're a lender, but it's probably a bot that's having those initial conversations. Now, by the time that you get on the counter and speak to somebody face to face, that probably, it can be, but probably at that point in time is a real human being. But the conversation you had to get there wasn't really that person. You need to know that. So, well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. And I know we went down a rabbit hole. We're a little all over the place today, but man, just got a lot to say. And, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you guys for stopping by. And remember, as Coach said, we are in the mortgage industry. So if you are looking for, some direction, need to know who to talk to, we'll get you set up with somebody that you can trust. But if you're in this space, you're a loan originator or a branch manager thinking, man, who do we go talk to, right? Like, who's that company? If you're looking at making a move, we would love to talk to you as well. We are always here trying to provide value to our teammates and value to you, right? Our followers. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I'm Devin Dubuque.
And I'm Rick Koenig.
And we will see you next week. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates, and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.